that joins up to that lane. But well, I could. Well, we're going to Empire Stores, so oops. Let's lift the forks a little so we don't get things damaged. So we're going to have to go by the farm anyway. Just drive on the verge, why not? Of course, the other thing we're wondering is whether our 3 fields we planted at the beginning of spring this year are going to germinate well. Okay, I'm also going to speed us up to ×5 since we're really just filling out time. So I'm fully expecting tomorrow game day we will be able to fertilise both our grass fields. I was also thinking I could quite possibly plough up the cow pasture and replant that as a grass field. Again, if I'm going to put cows in it, maybe not. This field on our right was ploughed up and planted grass. The field on our left I don't think is a grass field. Might be. But if it's just a pasture, I can use that as a sheep overflow within the next few years. The sheep fields have, what is it? 500 sheep limit on each one. So once we get to 500 sheep, I'm actually going to have to do a little bit of rearranging, and I'm probably going to buy the other sheep field to store sheep on, at least temporarily, and keep the one we have for grass as a grass field. But during lambing season, I figure I probably only want 250 sheep per field, so that all the lambs are then split and I don't exceed the field capacity. And we're still birthing sheep now. Something I could do. I mean, we got 100,000 money. We could buy a couple of trailer loads of sheep, additional sheep, because that's all good fun. And we have a goal to have lots and lots and lots of sheep. Okay, Empire Stores should be just up here on the left. There we go. And somewhere here there is a pallet of stuff. Ooh. Let's try not to run over the thing. Right, so we will lower that. Yeah, the problem with a big tractor is it's not as easy to manoeuvre as the Lindner, but it does have a better speed. So we ghostify the forks, and then we turn them on, and that seems to be having a problem. So we'll have that fall out. There we go. Okay. Put the go forwards. And that's how you're supposed to do it. Actually, I think I'll go forwards because it's just easier to turn the tractor. Somewhat easier to turn the tractor. All right, back on the road again. Get the camera angle right. I have a quick look mod which allows me to change the camera view while I'm in a vehicle by 45 degrees. Using the left and right button, left and right arrows. So it lets me keep the view pretty much centered on the rear. It doesn't affect vertical, so doing that, it's not going to affect that. But it does, if I get my vertical view right. Ugh. Let's recover that. Still not. It might be the mod rather than the tractor itself, because I'm somewhat struggling with the weights on this thing. And it really doesn't behave well with anything on the front forks. So I've also removed the realistic weight mod, which increased the weight of stuff to a more realistic level, which meant that, you know, getting a vehicle up to speed when it was fully loaded with grains took its time. More realistically took its time, but I've turned that mod off because the problem this tractor has with lifting pallets on the front forks, as I said, I don't know if it's the tractor or if it's just things are heavy. I still have some capacity for more tractors on the farm. Can't remember how big the Arian 600 is, because that's a good front loader tractor. I think it's a little smaller than this. It's definitely a little smaller than this one. I think it has a fairly good horsepower rating, so it could fit in as a carting tractor, because it has the weight to pull stuff. I'm not waiting here. Go, go, go. Beep, beep. And we are going to Gloucester. Or as Americans sometimes like to say, Gloucester. Although I was talking to my wife about pronunciation of UK town and county names, and we learnt a lot of rhymes as a child, or as children, or English kids learn a lot of rhymes as children, and one of them starts Dr. Foster went to Gloucester. So you learn how to pronounce Gloucester before you ever see how to pronounce it. And probably the first time you see it written, it's sort of, how did you get Gloucester out of that spelling? Okay, that looks like the delivery point. And as we've already established, we'll just turn the forks off, and transport is finished. And I'll turn the forks back on. And we get paid. So all that's left to do is field 9, which is a baling contract, and they want us to cut the grass and wrap it to make silage bales, take the bales to Oakfield Farm barn. That's kind of nice, and that's the field. The problem is that field is very small, and doing a contract in a field that size, you risk having 3,900 litres of grass in the field, which you can pick up, but then that's not enough for a complete bale, and you're 10% of a contract too short. Okay, you take care, Captain Zank, and I may catch you tomorrow, I guess. So that's why I'm not doing that contract, because I did that on the Old Stream farm. I think just when seasons came out, but I did a small field, and I ended up mowing that field about 3 or 4 times and running into the stream down the river of the field, and I barely got enough grass for a bale of silage, to make a bale and then wrap it. And the contract, I was at 95% complete with all the bales I'd produced until that point, which meant I only needed 500 litres more grass as silage, but of course bales come in 4,000 litres, so, and there was no excess to make a personal profit on either. So I'm going to bump up the speed again with time. So you have to make sure that if you're doing a grass contract for bales, you have a good sized field such that 5% of the delivery contract is an entire bale. So you're going to want to make 20 or more bales from the field in order to assure the contract. So if you don't cut all the grass, or you can't collect it, or there's 3,990 litres of grass on the field and it's entirely cut, and you've got all of that in your baler, and now there's just no more grass for you to complete the bale. It's that, or you have to make sure that you have some wrap bales from your fields available so that you can finish the contract, which I don't like to do either. Okay, we are back at the our farm road, our private road. Keep out. Trespassers will be eaten by the dog or the sheep. Unless you're the postman with nice gift from Amazon. Especially if it's a nice gift from Amazon that I didn't order, because they tend to tell you to keep it. Do what you want with it. We don't want it back. Okay, let's turn the blinky lights off. And We'll stick this back in the shed next to the Lindner. And again, I've sped time up, so we're pretty much done for this game day. As I said, these are carriage-free forks, so they have a pivot at the top. But are not connected at the bottom to the frame, so that I can do the way that, and the forks don't mess around with the ground much. However, that can make them a little bit bouncy at times because they're not fixed. Okay. So, when I logged in today, the dog was around the back. Okay, let's put some food in there. He was behind the Land Rover shed. How's the time going? We're going to need to speed up time a lot. I'll take a quick check on the farm around 5 o'clock, see if anything's changed. And then we'll push us through to nightfall. Hi, doggy. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Where did I get that Land Rover? That Land Rover is either, I don't think it's on the main website. So that's either on FS19 mods, King mods, or can't remember what. There's 3 websites I tend to look for mods that aren't in the game mod hub, and it does have let's zoom in a little bit. It does have a cover on the back. Well, no, it has straps and it has a cover on the back, so you buy it like that, and obviously if you want to put stuff in the back, you need to turn that off. And as I said, also has the straps as well. And I should say hello, Demo LT 2020, and welcome to the stream. Oh, it's getting dark. I'm not paying attention. It's now 6 o'clock. What did I want to check? I want to check field states. So these are still planted. They should tick over to growing overnight tonight. 3 and 6 are my 2 grass fields, and 5 was a grass field, but since I didn't need it as such, I tore it up as turned it into an arable. Okay, yeah, none of that. We actually want to check on animals, and our animals have 5,000 litres. 2.5, so that's about 2.5 litres, 2,500 litres, so not enough room for that. They're not particularly clean, but keeping sheep clean is a task. Oh, yeah, I did look at the Happy Animals mod, and what that does is it adds a worker that will keep your animals clean and feed them and stuff like that. The problem with that, I think, maybe, is that I don't know if it's tailorable. I haven't loaded it into the game. So, okay, 6 o'clock. So that's 6 o'clock, that's 7 o'clock. Let's go till about 8 o'clock. Or 8:30. So yes, I don't know how configurable that is and whether I could just pay a worker to keep my animals clean or select animals clean. But don't feed them because I want to do that because I have the food available. And I think the problem with the mod may be that it does allow for the workers to buy food. And that could be an issue where you're trying to control your costs. I generally don't allow workers to buy fertilizer or anything, fuel, seed. Okay, it is now mid-spring, so yay, there is still only one baling contract, and these 2 fields are now growing, so that's a good thing. I don't know if they're actually above ground yet, but those need to be fertilized. We need to check on grass, and we can do that looking out the front gate. That looks like grass. Okay. This looks like a tractor with fertilizer in it, so it's still a damp morning. Yeah, and that's the thing. British maps with seasons, spring mornings tend to be damp. It hasn't rained, but there's usually a morning dew, so your crops are always wet in the morning. And potentially in the fall as well. Although with fall you tend to have to contest with an awful lot more rain as well, which can get in the way of harvesting. Okay. So this bit here looks like meh grass. And this bit here looks like field. So let's see if we can fertilize this. Because once we fertilize these 2 fields, they're done until after we've cut them. But we will need to come back and kill the weeds at some point. So I'll position the camera high so I can actually see if there is any change of. That still does not look like anything's happening here. So we're over here on this field. Yeah, that's not working. So these fields are fully done. These fields haven't had any herbicide on them yet. These fields I still can't fertilize. What the heck? Which way's field 6 from here? Down there. I'll jump out the tractor and wander down through the trees. See what the grass looks like on this field. Yeah, this also does not look like growth. Yeah, I should have paid attention. Growth is still registering as harvested, so that's not ready to fertilize yet. And over winter, grass goes back to a harvested state until such time as it starts growing again. But you don't have very many growth stages to mess with. So it's I find it very difficult to get a grass field fully fertilized and herbicide. You can basically cut it and fertilize it immediately, and that can give you 2 stages. So that's what we've already got here. And then come on, truck. then you have to wait till it starts growing again. And I think there's only 2 stages of growth in grass. So we'll have stage 1 tomorrow, and then stage 2 the day after, or a couple of days later, which is when we want to start cutting it again. Or at least early summer is usually, I'll do an early summer cut, an early fall cut, and then a late fall cut if there's time. But it's always an if there's time thing. So we'll park that back there. Turn that off. Right, so how's our sheep doing? I think our sheep are, now they could have another bale of hay, and they need some water and whatever. I think I'm probably going to buy a few dozen. How many sheep have we got now? 131. We must be very close to having fertile, not fertile, not fertile. Oh, there's still pregnant sheep out there, so we're still producing sheep like crazy. Now that was the thing. I mean, I bought the sheep way back early spring in the first year, which is why we have some different coloured hay bales in the stack of bales that I have. That's the other thing I wanted to check on the sheep, is not on that screen. But nothing, all they did was produce wool for the first year until we got to fall. And I think I bought about 30 sheep in the first, I bought 30 sheep back here, and then I bought 30 sheep here. All of them had lambs over the winter, spring. So all you get if you buy sheep at this point in your first year of seasons on a map is wool for the entirety of spring and summer. Now in fall they don't do anything except eat hay or grass and drink water. Winter pretty much the same, but now they're starting to produce lambs. So potentially a good time to buy sheep is sort of anywhere day 3 onwards in the fall, and you will get more sheep through winter to spring, and then in spring now they're producing wool again. But if you buy them right when you start a season's playthrough, all they're going to do is produce wool for 6 months. Now that also can depend on the geo. I've been watching a virtual farmer playthrough where his sheep only produced wool till the end of spring, no wool in summer, and that means that the sheep are even less what's the word for it, financially viable, shall we say. But that's fine. What I'm going to do here is run over here and see what it says about my sheep. So we have Dorset sheep, and it says we need 50 to 85 pounds before we consider selling them. So these are just 21 pounds. There should be some around 60, 70. These are already, there's a 62, so these are getting into selling range. Now the Dorset sheep, as noted, 488 to buy. These are already worth 304. So I could, there's not many of them, but once they're hitting 0.2 years old, they're kind of getting to a sort of selling price. See, that's only £10, is worth 238. So we'll wait until they grow to at least 50, possibly up to 85, somewhere over 75. I think we'll start selling them, and we'll sell the male sheep because they're not going to give us more sheep. We'll keep the female ones for now, but once we get to the point where, I mean, obviously I started with 66 sheep and we're now up to 131, and they're still breeding, so but they're breeding slower now. There was a big, you know, huge influx of sheep right in the middle of winter, and it's tailed off to sort of 1 or 2 every few hours now. I don't know if they're going to carry on producing throughout spring into summer or what, because this is the first year I've really paid attention to doing sheep. But